All right, so my name is Rodrigo. I graduated. Well, I did my associates,
Hmm.
and that's the most highest level I did from education level.
My name is James Montgomery. I'm a dramatic media major, and this is my senior year here at TLU.
According to the World Population Review, ironically, despite the United States having the best surveyed education system on the globe, U.S. students consistently score lower in math and science than students from many other countries. According to a Business Insider report in 2018, the U.S. ranked 38th in math scores and 24th in science. So, in your opinion, why do you think the U.S. education system is the best surveyed, but still scores lower in math and science?
I have two theories.
Mm-hmm.
One would be that I think that um, as far as teachers go, the way that we have our hiring and our process as far as pulling new teachers onto staff
Mm-hmm.
allows for a nice working environment for students. I know that obviously you have bad experiences with teachers, but I feel like as far as an environment where you can learn, I feel like that is there and there are systems in place for you to learn.
Right.
So when you poll somebody, it's like, well, yeah, we have a good system in place. But then as far as not understanding the concepts as well, I think one of the things that really has shot us in the foot is how many times we've changed what the math and science standards are across
Sure.
the board. I am the son of a person in the military, and so
Mhm.
I've moved all over the place. And even from state to state, math standards differ.
Yeah.
And so when we change standards so frequently that teachers can't keep up curriculum and students are having to relearn material, it's not surprising that we're not as fluent in those categories, I think.
Honestly, because in my opinion, though, man, like it's so much that they stress the subjects on kids so much.
Mm.
Like honestly, the stuff that they always stress in school, especially in high school, is oh, you have to be good at math, you have to be good at science,
Right.
and those are the subjects that kids struggle on the most. Like like I was telling you before, I did a year in Mexico, and over there, like math is instantaneous. It's not a core subject, you know.
Right.
Mexico does more of a history type thing, and it's more, and they have kids going mornings and some kids in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So, but in like United States, it's mostly math and science that we're focusing on,
Mhm.
not those other core core subjects like reading or history. So it's like you have a kid basically overload his brain with these two subjects, and they're gonna mess up regardless of how much you do it.
Where did you study outside of the U.S. and how long did you do that for?
I think for a year, um, it was it was Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's honestly it's harder over there because they're so advanced. Um, the reason that Mexico's education system is not better than the United States education system is because it's not for everyone. It's mainly for the rich.
Mm.
So if
Okay.
if you don't have money, you're not really gonna make it into like a really good school,
Yeah.
and a lot of times the kids end up dropping out. Hence, over here, education's for basically anyone who can read or write.
Right.
So I studied abroad the fall of 2019, so
Mm-hmm.
right before COVID hit. And I went to London for 6 weeks, and I was in Paris for 12.
So, with that being said, what was your experience in terms of education when you studied over there?
I feel like, um, and again, this is from a very brief time there,
Yeah.
but London, Britain, feels similar to the system that we have set up in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their standards for education are a lot longer standing than the United States,
Yeah.
in the sense that they have lots more checks that have to go through before you can change your curriculum. which is, both good and bad. As far as what I was saying earlier, since the systems don't change as often, even if it's not a great system, people still learn how to work with it.
Yeah.
And as far as Paris goes, Paris's education system is completely different than the United States. And they make you pick a specialization fairly early on in your career, much earlier than they do in the United States. I think it's as early as what we would consider high school.
Oh, wow.
You take majority either math, science, or English history type classes through high school, and then that will funnel you into a college.
Oh, wow.
So with that in mind, I think that they would tend to do better in things like that, because you have people that are dedicating most of their time to those fields. And as you go through things like we would consider our elementary and middle school, they're learning what they're good at. And so then the people that are good at those things will end up specializing in them when they get older. So the people that would be being tested and being reviewed for their math and science skills have been doing it for most of their education, whereas the U.S. does their best to have a rounded version of an education.
Yeah.
It's not as honed or refined.
Right.
They're a lot stricter. They're a lot stricter. They don't, if they really take education seriously. But like I said, not everyone has the luxury of doing it. So, but yeah, they don't play at all.
Yeah.
They're really advanced. Like some kids don't even use calculators over there.
Oh, wow.
Which is impressive. And honestly, I did not believe it. And their history is extensive. When they have books on books on books about their history.
Okay.
So yeah, but over here it's actually a lot easier.
What can the U.S. incorporate from this different style of teaching that you've seen in Mexico then?
Honestly, I mean, have a morning and afternoon school, Some kids just aren't morning people, The kids aren't. Yeah, I wasn't either. I stopped doing most of my classes, dude. No, and honestly, some kids are just not morning people, dude. You can't expect a kid to be right there for you at 8 a.m. They expect you to be up and 100%. No, some kids it takes them time.
Right.
Some kids don't have the luxury of being able to get home at after school. Some kids have other things to do. They have certain situations. Allow afternoon school, give them that option. Give them that option and let them pick their subjects, because that's a good way to have a kid and understand what he is good at.
Right.
American high schools have started to adopt that mentality. I mean, because we still have coaches teaching health classes, where they may or may not be as knowledgeable. They have experience, but not necessarily the knowledge to back it up.
Yeah.
But high school that I went to several, but the one here in Texas, at least, you had different teachers, and they all had something that they specialized in. But maybe those teachers weren't teaching things that they entirely knew about. I had a physics teacher that knew physics, but they also taught another science course that they weren't as familiar with, because that wasn't their science, because they were physics. So I think the one place that I think I would like to see improve, at least in that way, is to just continue down that road, because we've already started. But I enjoy knowing that I'm talking with a professor who has a very specific skill set, and will be able to teach me through the things as I need them, because I enjoy getting the rounded education. I don't necessarily want to pick a specialization as early as high school, as much as that can be helpful. Like I said, I enjoy having this rounded skill set. I would just prefer that my professors are the ones who have a specific set, because then I can learn more from them, and that makes my education better.
Were there certain parts where it actually seemed like the U.S. education system was either better or, in a sense, better to your fitting for you personally?
I kind of mentioned this before, but it branches off into something else. But I would have conversations with fellow students abroad who weren't in the same program as me, but I got the opportunity to speak with local schools local colleges and kind of speak with them. And it was fascinating how much I knew that they didn't, or if they knew it, it was something that they had pursued on their own time. It wasn't something that they had been given the time to learn in school because of that whole specialization thing.
Right.
Which is not to say that they weren't intelligent, because they were wildly intelligent about very specific concepts.
Yeah.
It was that, like, I would have a conversation about like a book I had read in English to a person who specialized in math and science, and they had either never heard of it or never read it, or if they did, it was just of their own time. And I was like, fascinating.
Right.
I think one of the things that I really enjoyed that kind of comes along with that rounded education is that you can have a conversation 80% of the time with someone your age anywhere in America, and they will probably have had some version of the curriculum that you did.
That's true.
And so, like, you can have an engaging conversation about a book you read in English. Like, not everyone read Lord of the Flies, but like that's a book that lots of people read. And so in a weird way, it's given you common ground with everyone nationwide. You can have conversations about these things, and intellectual conversations about most anything, because you all learned about the same thing across the board.
Right.
And that's something I really appreciate as someone who had to move around a lot, because it made it easy to start conversation or to learn more about the people you're with or where you're at.
In certain parts, yeah, like they do take the time to help every single student. Like they take their time helping students, but at the same time, I feel like in the United States, they really do need to take the time to understand every single student. Like they have to understand that not every student is the same. Not every student is going to learn exactly the same way, and not every student is going to be focused on wanting to become a math major or a science major. Every person is different in their own way, and in that aspect, I think that the United States could maybe get better at and stop the whole you have to have these 8 subjects, and those are the subjects that you're going to learn for the rest of your life. Like, no, have kids learn computers or have kids learn about like certain history, stuff like that.
Right.
And you'll see more kids actually want to go to school instead of skipping school or not paying attention to school. I know I would have, at least.
Yeah.